Plenty good.
I think we're good.
We take a 5-minute recess.
I don't care. That's all. That's a big issue.
Now I call this meeting to order. Central Florida facilitators, thank you all for being here tonight. If you have phones or other electronic devices, please put them on silent mode at this time or turn them off during the duration of the meeting. The restrooms are located right down this hallway. Take your first left and they're down on the right-hand side. If you must exit the room during the meeting, we ask that you use one of the rear doors there so as not to disturb the meeting in progress. At Toastmasters, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Through this mission, each Toastmaster gains a clear understanding of the club's purpose, and the organization as a whole benefits from a shared set of values and goals. Please help me welcome our thought and pledge leader for this evening, Stephen Morgan.
Theme is Spring Forward today. We cannot stop the winter or the summer from coming. We cannot stop the spring or the fall or make them other than they are. They are gifts from the universe that we cannot refuse, but we can choose what we will contribute to life when each arrives. In the words of Yuri Zukov, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And welcome back to the lectern, our president, Mark Lockery.
Thank you, Stephen.
My introduction. I didn't make one.
You have about 35 seconds to make this. We are sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators open to all. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader. And Toastmasters is all about communication and leadership. To facilitate means to make things easy and possible, and we want to make things easy and possible for everyone here tonight. I see we do have the honor of having a guest tonight, Jeanine, so if you could just stand up, if you don't mind, and give us a quick introduction on yourself, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm Jeanine. I've been introduced to Toastmasters through, I met Stephen Morgan through a friend of mine that I know through the chamber and a very good friend of my boss, and then this particular chapter through Tim Rickey, who also knows my boss very well. He was my Altamont neighbor as well. And I've been thinking about Toastmasters for a long time, just for professional growth. And it so happens my boss, his name is Mike McLean, he's running for Seminole County Clerk of the Court. So with that being said, that means that I'm going to take on a whole lot more responsibility at work and getting out and meeting a lot more people. And, likewise, communication is going to be very essential for me. And I feel that eventually, belonging to Toastmasters is going to help me in that growth, because that will develop my speaking skills. I can become a whole lot more confident speaking in front of a group of people, be, more credible. Likewise, that can reap more benefits and more dividends for me, meaning increased sales and increased client base, getting a lot more referrals, and I think it's just even in my personal growth too, to build confidence and, just the way I come across and present myself. I think it's just, a valuable tool for self-improvement, and that's why I'm here. And, eventually I do want to join the club. I know I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied, but no, just for the, how it can benefit me, benefit the organization I'm working for, and just, all around the good benefits. And that's why I want to eventually become part of Toastmasters full time.
Very good. Well, we're happy to have you here tonight, Jaye. Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Thank you.
pre-programmed business. I want to say, Gail, do you want to give us a quick rundown on what happened with the chili cook-off? Because a lot of us weren't there. Did we win anything?
Sure. The KB
The KB.
did not win, only because she did not stuff her jar. But the jar of votes,
Oh, okay.
if you liked it, it was a quarter. And I had a lot of dollar bills. And it was a lot of fun. There were about 60 people in total there. I don't know what the outcome for the auction was. I would project probably a good 1,700. A lot of merchandise was there. KB sold 2 brunches, one in Ocala and one up in the village.
The village. Mary Carol.
Where,
and
Georgia?
Jeanine. Mary Carol. and
Yeah.
Someday we can get ours, it'll be a lot closer for you.
Jeanine. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to do that one of these days.
Oh, it was a lot of fun, and they're building momentum.
Sure.
And in fact, I didn't bring them with me, but I've got some sample possible materials we can use for our auction.
Great.
They did a district. Yeah, it was fun.
Also, we just completed our club level contest last week for international speech and table topics, and congratulations to Stephen, the table topics winner. He'll be representing our club at the area level on March
I have a choice.
20th. You what? You have a choice?
I have already won Lake Mary's and there's yet another one to go, so I have a choice.
Oh, so you're not sure you'll be representing this club
Not yet.
at some point?
Well, no matter who you're officially
Yes.
representing, you're still a member.
of
Take it.
our
So
Absolutely.
we'll take it. So him and Jonathan will be there on March 20th. Unfortunately, I've already got a commitment that day, so I will not be able to attend, but we wish you the best of luck. Also, we have our auction coming up, I believe, March 30th?
30th?
I think it's 30th, March 30th.
Okay.
Gail, no, not Gail, I'm sorry, Tony is chairing that. So if you have any questions or want to assist in any way, contact Tony, and she will let you know what she needs. So, our Toastmaster this evening is sitting right there.
Could you provide an intro?
I can just say she probably is taking a much-needed rest after doing the chair of our contest last week, which kept her very busy. It was an awesome contest. We got lots of positive feedback for those in attendance, and it was actually quite a big crowd, too. Bigger than most contests that we've had in the past.
Bigger than tonight's.
A lot bigger than tonight's. Yeah, I think there was probably 30, maybe 30 people,
Last week was really cool.
so it was good. Jay wished they all would have brought their checkbooks last week.
Yeah.
So anyways, our theme tonight is springtime, spring forward, so I'd like to call up to the lectern our Toastmaster, Susan Morgan.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
I'm
evening.
so excited to have everybody here, the people that did manage to make it out tonight. And we're going to be talking about spring forward. And that is going to be an interesting little subject. I've got a few little things on that. But first I want to go over our agenda for this evening because there's a few things to change. We have Sarah is still going to be our speaker. We have Stephen being grammarian along with Mark and whomever else is going to be helping with odd counter and grammarian. We do not have a vote counter this evening. Richard was unable to attend evidently.
You want me to do that?
And we only have one speaker and one evaluator, so.
Actually, you're the one person who probably shouldn't do it because the only thing we need to vote for is table topics.
Yeah, so maybe Jay can help us out with between Jay and myself, we can help out with the table topic votes, and Sarah maybe even too. So we'll see how that goes. And our evaluator this evening is not going to be Charlie, it's going to be Stephen. So you can see that change on our agenda. Otherwise, it's Still the same agenda. It has little flowers on it and cute little things because it is springtime. And I would like to go over our functionaries that we do have tonight and have them tell us what they'll be doing tonight. I'm going to start with our timer tonight. And Jay, will you tell us about timing and what you'll be doing?
Everyone that's not here is going to miss out because we're going to have fun with table topics. That's what I say. Okay, what my job tonight is to keep time for all the people who take on speaking roles. We only have one speaker, one evaluator, and a handful of table topic speakers. The speaker's time is 10 to 12 minutes. So at the minimum time, 10 minutes, I'll turn on the green light. At the middle, 11 minutes, I'll turn on the yellow. And at the top, 12 minutes, I'll turn on the red. And then Sarah will have to scamper to wrap up her speech. For the evaluator, they get up to 3 minutes, so you will see the green light at 2, the yellow at 2.5, and the red light at 3. And again, you'll have to scamper to wrap up. And the table topics are up to 2 minutes, so the green light at 1, the yellow light at 1.5, and the red light at 2, time to wrap up. I will be keeping track of everyone's time, and those who go over by 30 seconds will not qualify, and those who do not make it to the green light will not qualify. That's my job.
Thank you, Madam Timer. And our grammarian / counter / general evaluator, Mark Lockery, what will you be doing tonight? A lot of jobs.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As grammarian, I have been handed the word of the day by Stephen, and it is scamper, which is a verb, especially of a small animal or child. Run with quick, light steps, especially through fear or excitement. He scampered in like an overgrown puppy. I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. Jaye is already on board. For those who have a chance to speak and do not use the word of the day, they will be fined 25 cents, except guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech. I will also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional use of vocabulary and grammar. At the end of the meeting, of course, I will report on grammar usage and suggestions on improvements where I see them, in my personal opinion, of course. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Richard. Hi, Richard.
Vote counter's here.
Our vote counter has arrived.
Maybe I should
He's
be running
in
a
the
few
middle
minutes
there,
late,
so you
so.
can. So if you want to stand up here in a second and just tell us what you'll be doing this evening, that would be wonderful.
She has a good vote
Please
counter.
help me welcome Richard to tell us about the vote counting. Perfect timing, Richard, perfect timing.
That's what I do best. Tonight, as vote counter, I will collect votes for Best Speaker, Best Table Topics Speaker, and Best Evaluator. I will also collect any comments or suggestions you have for the speaker or Toastmaster for the evening. I will report the results to the President for the awards presentation at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. Well, we're going to scamper, so everyone will try and use the word scamper while we're having our meeting. And I'm going to scamper on now to give you a few little things about spring. And we're talking about Spring Forward, which talks about daylight savings time, all of our love for that. The rules for DST, or Daylight Savings Time, changed in 2007 for the first time in more than 20 years. The new changes were enacted by the Energy Policy Act of 2005, which extended the length of the DST in the interest of reducing energy consumption. The rules increased the duration of the DST by about 1 month. DST is now in effect for 238 days, or about 65% of the year. Although Congress retained the right to revert to the prior law should the change prove unpopular, or if the energy savings are not significant. At present, daylight savings time in the United States begins at 2 a.m. on the second Sunday in March, which will be March 13th this year, in about a week, about 2 weeks. And it ends on the first Sunday in November. DST was formally introduced to the United States in 1918. Today, most of the country and its territories observe DST. However, DST is not observed in Hawaii, American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the state of Arizona, with exception of the Navajo Indian Reservation, which does observe daylight savings time. I thought that was rather interesting. Tonight, I'm going to move on to our speaking portion of the meeting. Our next speaker is delivering a talk from the Specialty Speech Manual Sell a Product. The Specialty Speech Manual, and the project is Sell a Product. This product is near and dear to her heart, and she will share what makes this special something interesting and enjoyable. Please help me welcome our first speaker for this evening, Sarah Hunt.
Savor every moment, for they are the only things that we really have. Savor is one of my favorite words. What comes to mind when I say the word savor? A shout out. Anyone?
Food.
Food. Want to savor every bite. If you're like me, I gobble it up so fast. Done, gone. Anything else?
Hugs from my daughter.
Hugs from your daughter. Children are lovable, and you savor the moments because they change so quick and they grow so fast. Tonight I'd like to share with you a product that I savor a lot. It comes from my hometown, not Kettering, the only town, but the UK in England. And that is a cup of tea. That product, not one particular kind, but I'd like to share with you some of the history of why do the British love and drink a ridiculous amount of tea? Where did it come from? Is it good for you? Why would you want to try some? And if you don't drink tea, or maybe sporadically, you may want to drink a bit more. And I'll share some of the health benefits and then wrap it up. So the legend has it, tea has been around for thousands of years in other countries, but how it came to Britain, it's said that the 7th Duchess of Bedford, Bedford's a town in England, this person, Anna Maria, felt a little weary in the afternoons. We call it an afternoon slump here, right? And got tired and thought, I want to get my maid to bring me some tea. So she asked her maid to go get her a cup of tea, a couple of slices of bread, and a bit of butter, and that was her tea time. It was late afternoon to get her over that slump and tide her over. And she loved it. Then she invited her friends to have tea and biscuits. And then, like anything else, it just took off, and it was a trend. And the British started to all have tea. And it is not at 3 o'clock or their minds somewhere around there. They drink it in the morning, mid-morning, at lunch, in the afternoon, whenever they want. It's just a custom. And it's a nice way, especially in the afternoon, where you can slow down, transition from what you're doing, especially when you get into that squirrely, I got to the end of the day, I gotta get all my stuff done. We move really fast. It's a great transition to stop. It does take a couple minutes, so it's a bit different than chug a Coke, down some sugar, bam, and you're moving on. It's different because you have to boil the water or microwave it, tell my family that, microwave. And then you have to wait and sit for a couple minutes. So it's a really nice way to slow down when we're at any time of our day. So that's how tea came to Britain. There are 4 types of tea. There's black tea, green tea, oolong tea, and white tea. Mostly colors, so not hard to remember. And the difference is the leaves, what makes them differentiate themselves from one another. And that gives the flavor and the nutrition content. So just to go through very simple, black tea, and 75% of tea drinkers will be consuming black tea. The leaves, they're dried, they're wilted, and they're oxidized, simply meaning that they're modified because they're exposed to air. Green tea, the leaves are dried, they're not oxidized. Oolong, leaves are dried and they're partially oxidized, and white tea, leaves are not dried and they're not oxidized. That's it. It doesn't probably mean too much, it's just a fun fact. Whatever you fancy, it's just a matter of preference of what you try and what you like. So they're the 4 types of teas. So why would you care? Well, I think I'd like to share with you a few of the health benefits. And there's been many studies, and tea, as I said, has been around for thousands of years, but there's some health benefits. Some of them include tea supports cardiovascular health, bone strength, helps maintain healthy weight, and there's lots of studies that have just shown that the antioxidants in these very small tea bags are very powerful. And it's these antioxidants that protect the cells from DNA damage, which can cause disease. So that's some of the health properties of tea. British love tea. What do Americans love? What's the cousin to tea? Coffee! Yum! I like coffee too, and I want to address this because most people who love coffee, blah to tea, that's not much, right? Coffee is very powerful, very tasty, and it's consumed in large amounts. It's got loads of caffeine and it wakes us up, so there's lots of reasons why I know coffee's popular. I like coffee a lot. I don't dare drink it after noon. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, get very jittery, and I don't need a sleepless night, but that's what happens to me and many other people that consume coffee. I'm not asking that anyone give up coffee, but I recommend you and suggest that you incorporate just a cup of tea at any time of the day to supplement the coffee if you like warm drinks. Tea is a more softer, gentler beverage. It has half of the amount of caffeine. I can drink it in the afternoon. It has no effect whatsoever on my sleep, and I'm very sensitive to it. Or you can go caffeine-free. There's teas and coffees alike. So that's just a few things, and I've noticed it's a bit cheaper as well. The coffee prices are really quite high. And you go to Publix, and the tea section's $3.99, $4.99, coffee $6, $7.99. It's just, there's a big difference. So it might help your pocketbook as well to try more tea. I'm going to scamper right over to my bag and show you some tea. I see the green light's not popped on, so I've got a minute. You can make tea in a pot, a kettle, a microwave. I just bring my portable kettle because I can't go anywhere without it. So it's great for traveling. It's just a small pot and it takes not even a minute, and then the water boils. But making tea, we need to have hot boiling water. That makes all the difference. I'm going to use this tea bag, so I'll drink it tonight. PG Tips, again, I'm not promoting PG Tips. This is my favorite brand. You can buy it in Publix, but Twinglings and all those other Tetley teas, you can find them. There's lots of different brands. But I just wanted to show you that many people I've spoken to think tea may be a big ordeal with the leaves, and just a tea bag. That is the simplest way People think we're so fancy. We're not. Not at all. It's just a tea bag, and we pop it in the mug, and that's it. The water boils. You let it sit for a couple minutes, and then the bag gets removed. We don't wrap it up in a spoon, get tweezers, and start to squeeze all that stuff. It gets very bitter. That's a big no-no. So water is boiling, you can hear it. Goes into the cup. 1 or 2 minutes, tea bag out, and you can add milk or sugar and wait a couple of minutes. The tea should be orange brown, and it's done. And you can savor some moments. A couple of fun facts that you may not know. You might have heard the word high tea. High tea? Will you take high tea? There's nothing high about tea, ever. It's a posh, regal saying that I think tea rooms and marketing materials promote, but it actually is low tea because tea's served in a regular household on a coffee table. So there's nothing posh or regal about it. It's not high, it's low tea. And it does not need to come with fancy finger sandwiches, little twiddly cakes with scones and clotted cream and jam. It's really nice if you have it, but most people pull out a pack of biscuits, which are cookies. They have a cookie, a cup of tea, and they have some friends, or they sit by themselves, read a book, and it's that time to unwind and just savor a few moments. All right, I see that this is finished. Pour that in there. So I forgot my milk, and I like milk, so I just threw in chamomile tea. So this is not my British tea, I just put in herbal tea, so that's a bit different, but I just wanted to show you how simple and how easy it is to make a cup of tea. So to all my tea drinking friends, cheers, and remember, pinkies up. I'm the Toastmaster.
Up. I love that. If I can have 1 minute on the clock for everyone to write a little note for Sarah, I'm sure she would appreciate that. And then I'll get back to what I'm doing. A minute. Thank you very much, Jay. So, Sunday is the day that we turn our clock back or go forward, whichever we may be doing at the time. Today, this time, it's going to be we are going to move our clock forward. But did you know Mondays are bad for your heart? And particularly dangerous is the Monday coming up, according to the University of Michigan study. In it, researchers found that a surge in heart attacks, 25% more compared to other days, in the first full workday after the spring forward time change. Doctors have long known that sleep is linked to heart health, and Mondays are troublesome. The University of Michigan study published last year in the British Medical Journal drew on hospital data throughout Michigan in a time period between January 1st, 2010 and September 15th, 2013. That would be 1,354 days in all. It found an average of 31 cases of acute myocardial infarction each day in Michigan. In this study, spikes were especially pronounced on the 4 Mondays after spring forward changes. On average, there were 8 more episodes on those 4 Mondays. Very interesting. So be careful when we spring forward to get your sleep, and watch out for any signs that you might be feeling a heart attack coming on, and be aware. There's another thing that is very interesting about spring that is not as much of a downer as that, but how about spring break, folks? Woohoo! Let's go to spring break. The top 10 places to go for spring break. Starting at number 10, Tampa, Florida, of course. 9 is San Juan, Puerto Rico. 8 is Los Cabos, Mexico. The 7th is Fort Myers, Florida. 6 is Phoenix, Arizona. 5 is West Palm Beach, Florida. 4 is Miami, Florida. 3 is actually Los Angeles, California. I wouldn't go there to save my life, but that's just another one of my things. And number 2 is Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which we know. Actually, the number 1 place to go for spring break these days, Austin, Texas. Believe it or not.
Daytona faded out a couple of times.
Daytona faded, and it's Fort Lauderdale now.
Because they started getting rid of booze.
That's the ticket. Okay, so for our next section, actually, I think, do I need to get a timer's report? Let me get a timer report for our speech tonight.
Madam Toastmaster and fellow members and guests, our speaker spoke tonight, our wonderful Sarah, for 10 minutes and 20 seconds. She was stretching it out there, but she qualifies.
Yay, that's
Good going.
awesome. Our table topics master tonight says she loves daylight savings time. It gives her an extra hour of daylight, which she adores. It helps her reduce the power bill, and it seems to extend to happy hour. Welcome our daylight savings time diva, Gail Hill-Smith. For our table topics tonight. Yes,
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thin crowd this evening, but you all are in luck. But before I tell you why you're in luck with the theme that we have at hand, for the benefit of our new members as well as our hopeful prospective new member, what is Table Topics all about? What am I going to be doing here this evening? All of the roles rotate through the meeting each week. Each week, as Susan mentioned, the Toastmaster would select the theme, and the respective participants work with that. Table Topics is no exception. In fact, Table Topics typically focuses all around the theme. That's what I will be doing. Because we only had 1 speaker, our Toastmaster had asked that I prepare a lot of table topics Table topics gives everybody an opportunity to speak. Typically, when we have a large crowd, Richard and Jeanine, we do not call on our speakers, we do not call on our evaluators, we do not call on our Toastmaster or our general evaluator. Why is that? They all talk. Table topics is the opportunity for everybody else to have a chance to speak. And in a table topic, which lasts from 1 to 2 minutes, your objective, your goal is to incorporate the word of the day, to incorporate the basic foundation of a speech. In other words, an opening, a body, and a conclusion. Body gestures are always welcome, eye contact, etc. And by speaking within that time frame, then you too can be voted on as the best table topic and potentially receive an award. I'm going to bypass that first rule of table topic. Sarah has spoken. Because of the limited number of Toastmasters this evening, everybody but Stephen is going to be included in table topics. Not once, but twice. I have prepared that many. And Jeanine, after there have been a few demonstrated or modeled table topics, I will give you an opportunity, and there's no obligation. We would love for you to participate, but don't feel you have to. So are you all ready for our table topics?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, with our theme at hand, I am not going to scamper because of my 2 implanted hips, but I'm going to pretend I'm an Easter bunny. I'm going to pretend that I have laid these eggs, and I'm going to pretend, as you are, that they have been hidden and you are finding them. So with that said, we might as well start with Mark. Mark, select one of these eggs and read the topic. Stand up, please, as you read.
Daylight savings. Not every country in the world has daylight savings. Why did the USA institute this in our lives in 1917? And do you agree with it? Thank you for this question, Madam Table
Absolutely.
Master. Actually, 1916, the year before this was introduced, was a very bad year in the United States economy. And our powers to be in Congress and our political higher-ups decided they needed to do something to stimulate the economy. So what did they decide to do? They decided to give us an extra hour of daylight, to keep the businesses open an extra hour so shoppers and consumers can go out and purchase their things for their family and for their friends. This was great in principle. However, they had a problem and decided about 6 months later that they wanted to reverse it and go back to the time that it was before. However, that was kind of difficult to go forward and back, so they just decided that they would keep that in place year after year. Now, do I agree with it? I do agree with it. My birthday is in August, and I love having the sun up until 9 p.m. in August. However, my mom lives in Arizona, and they don't observe daylight savings time. And sometimes I get mixed up on whether I'm supposed to call her at 7 or at 8. But other than that, I agree with it, and thank you very much for the chance to answer that.
All right. I will scamper over back here. Yes, Richard. Select one of those eggs. Pretend you have found it in the tall grass that's outside right now.
Daylight savings. Describe what your extra hour of daylight will be like. This is on March 13th. All right. My extra hour of daylight will be what every single person wants to do, which is more chores and errands. And we would all agree that there should be 13 hours in a day. What is it, 25 hours in a day? However, whatever. However, given that we finally have the opportunity to do some of the running around that we wouldn't normally when it's dark out, like mowing the lawn, washing your car, and anything else that you do when the daylight is present will be what we're going to get done. Scampering here late this evening was due to work-related topics and issues, which I will be going home to do later. Therefore, this is typically what I will be partaking in my extra hour of daylight. So, thank you.
Okay, I will gravitate over to this side of the meeting. Jaye,
Pick one.
pick an A, any A.
Daylight savings. You are flying back from a vacation in Australia. Love it. You have to cross the international time zone and add on the daylight savings. What does your confused and screwed up mind and body say? All right, Madam Table Topics Master. Australia is a place I've always wanted to visit. I am a scuba diver at heart. I was a scuba diving instructor. And you have all heard of the Great Barrier Reef and all of the wonderful, beautiful sea life there. It would be one of my greatest opportunities to get to enjoy a scuba diving vacation and trip in Australia. Scuba diving itself puts you in a little crazy place as well because of what it takes out of your body, what it takes from you physically when you're scuba diving at depth. So imagine diving from the depth of the bottom of the ocean and then the next morning hopping on a plane where you're going so high up in the sky and what the atmospheres do to the changes in your body. For me, I wouldn't be concerned about the time. I would be more concerned about the impact and the effects of what the changes were going on in my body and how that I could keep from having the bends if I dove a little too deep and stayed a little too long on that last dive. So my last concern would be, what time am I getting home? Give me another drink. Bring it on, stewardess. That's what I would have to say to her. I would look forward to such a trip. It would be my joy to be able to do that. And I thank you, Madam Secretary.
All right. You knew it was coming.
I knew it.
But next, we're going to go to Sarah here.
Right? Daylight savings. You are a critic of daylight savings. Why? It's rather silly to me, isn't it? Daylight savings. I'm not sure what we're saving exactly. It's not money, that's for sure. But what I know about daylight savings, especially the one coming up, I believe we lose an hour of sleep. Is that right?
Spring forward.
So you go forward,
Yeah.
and now there's an hour less. So it's hard to get to work, and the children are doubly frustrated because now school starts at 8. They get up quite late in my house because the school is right around the corner. There are no excuses for tardies at all. But there will be one, and it will happen because of this silly daylight savings time. So a whole extra hour. I try to be that sneaky parent. Okay, we'll wean into this. We'll go to bed just half an hour earlier. That way it'll all work itself out. You'll be up just on time. I can't sleep. But there'll be all these whiny excuses. So really, instead of going to bed at 8, It's still 9 o'clock, struggling to get sleep in, and then here comes the, I'm tired, go away. It is awful. It's bad enough the older they get, when there is no daylight savings, or we've got into a system. This is just silly, it's ridiculous, and I don't like it. Thank you.
Jeanine, you game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, I love it.
Give it a
Well,
shot.
then, let me hobble scamper over here.
Hobble snooper.
I like that.
Daylight savings, you are an advocate for daylight savings. Why? Very interesting question. Okay. Well, I would say that just, with daylight savings time, it's giving you extra hours in the day to get a lot more done, be a whole lot more productive. You don't have to work, safety-wise, definitely safety-wise. You've got daylight, you don't have to worry about being in the dark, which presents a whole lot more risk in going outside, doing anything, especially if you need to go away from home and, be outside. But daylight savings gives you much more opportunity just to get a whole lot more done, especially if you have children, you're a parent, the kids get to go out and play a little bit more, they're gonna like that. I know adults, it's probably not gonna be as enjoyable losing that hour of sleep to begin with, but I know being in Minnesota, or where I'm originally from, of course being further north, going towards the North Pole, the days last a whole lot longer. So really, in that part of the country, daylight savings time is almost welcome, because that means the days are going to get longer and longer. And at the summer solstice, I remember even being in the Twin Cities, 9:30, even close to 10 o'clock, there was still a little bit of daylight out. So you could actually enjoy the day, enjoy a whole lot more activity, and just being out in the daylight. It wasn't dark out, and it just felt so good. It was good for the soul, and just so many more benefits involved. So I would say that, if there are any pluses to daylight savings time, just what I've mentioned, could be it.
Here you go. All right, Susan, the inevitable.
My turn.
Your turn.
My turn. Okay, I have to put my glasses on so I can read it.
I did print it in bold face, just FYI.
Okay, straightforward.
Would you like to stand?
I'm
and
going
read
to
it?
stand and read it. Spring and springtime refer to the season and the ideas of rebirth, rejuvenation, renewal, resurrection, and regrowth. What do you associate with spring and springtime, and why? That's a really good one. I would have to say that a big part of springtime and spring forward has always been, although I'm not religious, Easter time. I had 5 children, and Easter bunny coming, and all that stuff was always so much fun. You would go to the store, and there's Easter baskets around, and all the little candies, and all the little stuffed animals, and all those things. And I would love to go to the store and create baskets. Even before I had children, I had nieces, and I was about probably my daughter's age now, 18, and I had little nieces. And I would always go to the store and buy little Easter baskets and make them all up. And when they'd come over for Easter to show us their Sunday outfits and that whole thing, they'd get their Easter baskets from the Easter bunny that came over to Aunt Susan and Grandma and Grandpa's house. So I think that is the biggest part of spring for me was remembering all the Easter time stuff and all the candy and the Easter baskets.
Great.
Tabletop is next.
Okay, everyone has had an opportunity for a table topic, getting a little comfortable, thinking of what you could have improved on. So, second opportunity for everybody. You want to turn those lights off? And while you're doing that, Jay, we'll start with you. Second.
Oh, what am I gonna do here? Oh, let's get this one on the end. It looks like it's lonely out there, so. Daylight savings. New Zealand entomologist George Hudson is credited for proposing daylight savings. Going back in time to 1985, why do you think he treasured this idea? Madam Table Topics Master, I believe he treasured that idea for the same reason that I do, and probably everyone else in this room. That extra hour to be out, flying a hole, racing that catamaran, rolling down the seas through the Keys. Or in his case, New Zealand, flying a hole along the shores. This to me was one of my favorite things when we would hit daylight savings time. When I lived in South Florida and I did all of the diving and sailing, I used to be a racer. I ran fishing trips and diving trips. That last hour of daylight, just before going on a night dive, was amazing. Most of us in this room love that last hour of daylight to go home and play with the kids. And that was another one for me. That hour that I could have with my daughter to get out and roller skate or run through the neighborhood or ride our bikes, or when she started to learn to drive, to teach her how to drive while it was still daylight. So, Madam Table Topics Master, there are 1,000 reasons I can think of why I would want daylight savings time all year. Forget this thing about going back in November. I can put my wetsuit on and go for a dive in November. And I can definitely hop on my bicycle and take that ride through the neighborhood and out to the park and out to the Everglades and enjoy my life. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Well, I am going to interject some additional tidbit of information, as Susan, our Toastmaster, did. This New Zealand entomologist, George Hudson, actually did it for sort of a selfish reason. He was a shift worker. He was thinking only of himself and the possible insects that he might be able to collect to study after work. So he thought an extra hour or two might be of good use. But a British English builder, he actually is the first one to have proposed in writing the idea of daylight saving time in 1898, and in a paper, this English builder, William Willett, he thought it would be best because he was an avid golfer and he wanted to have more time with light out on the golf course. Now, food for thought. I like that idea. I'm a golfer too. Mark, you want to take a second?
Spring forward. In French Canada, it is Jour de la Marmotte. In German PA, it is Grünsattag. What animal and what day are they recognizing, and why choose this animal? Well, obviously, Jour de la Marmotte is French for skunk. Pepe Le Pew, which is the only other French skunk that I know of. So that's why they chose that. As to why they chose the skunk, I don't know. Maybe because a lot of people thought that daylight savings time really stunk. As far as Groomsel dog is the famous sauerkraut Shih Tzu from Westminster, Germany? No. From Bellawood, Germany. The sauerkraut Shih Tzu. I don't know why they chose that also. Probably because it was Oktoberfest. And they wanted more time for the beer, so they put the clocks back an hour so that the bars could stay open an extra hour. And all of the men and women in their lederhosen could go around and serve the Shih Tzus and the skunks with the German ale. That's probably why they did it. I'm thinking, I guess. Thank you very much.
What animal is associated with spring? The groundhog, yes. So the jour de la marmotte is a groundhog, and the Mascot is groundhog.
Mm.
Good, good.
Their cousins
Very
are the
close,
skunk.
very
Yes.
close.
Yeah, from the skunk family.
Okay,
All right.
Richard.
Better shot.
there we go.
Spring Forward. Super Tuesday created many interesting headlines. What was your headline? What was your favorite headline? And why?
Lights.
Super Tuesday created many interesting headlines. What was your favorite headline and why? To avoid any political statements whatsoever, we'll go with the absolute best headline that I saw from Tuesday was that mortgage rates have once again dropped to about 3.62%.
Wow.
So, which is historically low from in the 80s when it was back up to in the 18% range. So for me personally, even though Super Tuesday is supposed to be reflective of the electoral voting, I decided the better news is that we can still get homes at an abnormally low rate. So when you're in the market for buying or selling, this is a great opportunity to do so. And as a realtor, I thought this was fantastic news because it still gives you an excellent opportunity to own wealth at a low cost, as well as achieve your dream of home ownership. You own the land underneath you all the way to the core of the earth, as well as the sky all the way to the heavens. In fact, some people even sell their airspace above their house. So for me, I thought Super Tuesday was filled with really cool information about mortgage rates. Madam Toastmaster.
Very good. And Jeanine.
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Spring forward. What New Year's resolution are you planning to spring forward to, that is, start again? Oh boy. Well, one of my biggest New Year's resolutions is to lose weight. Probably one of the hardest things you can do. You know, and of course at my age, I'm in my middle 50s. For women, it just gets to be so much harder to get those extra pounds up and aggravating. Now the problem with me is I love food too much, but it's getting the willpower back and the determination back to just shed these extra pounds, and looking at other women my age that can do that have very nice figures, and knowing I want to go on some trips, knowing I just want to get out and about a whole lot more. I have some really awesome clothes that I want to fit back into, evening clothes after 5 clothes. It's like, I need to get this weight off. So if anything for spring, I'm going to make a really big extra effort to get this weight off. If it means when Crane's Roost is open and just go take a scamper over to Crane's Roost and walk a little bit, keep the car parked, walk to wherever I need to in my neighborhood to get things done, just make the extra effort. If I've got to sacrifice foods that I love to lose the weight, I'm going to do it. So if it's any New Year's resolution, I'm definitely keeping or trying to keep for the daylight savings time, and with the extra hours of daylight that I can take advantage of it, I'm going to do it. And that is my goal, is to lose weight. And if I make it, I'll be happy. Thank you.
Oh, how we regurgitate those resolutions around this time.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, by default, Sarah will have the last egg.
The last egg, okay. Okay, spring is celebrated in many ways worldwide. Would you like to celebrate Shamanism in Egypt, Nowruz in Iran, Holi in India, or Easter in a Christian religious feast? Which one would I like the best? Well, I don't know about Iran and Egypt and whatever the other country was on there. I only know about the United States and how we celebrate Easter, which is what I just talked about. And I like that. But I would totally love to go to another country and see what their springtime celebrations are like. I've never been to anywhere else that has a springtime celebration that I've been around in. The only thing I know maybe would be the pagan type celebrations where they're celebrating the renewal and the rebirth of everything, being the grass and the trees and the flowers and all of those things. I would totally love to see what other countries do. I know in May, on May Day, people run around a pole and do the ribbons around the pole. That sounds really interesting, and they may do something similar to that. I don't know, but I would love to find out what exactly other countries do that I didn't get to experience in my growing up years. Madam Table Topics Mascot.
And our final do-over table topic.
Spring Forward Super Tuesday created many interesting headlines.
However,
What would be your do-over headline and why? That did to Super Tuesday? Super Tuesday just passed me by. I woke up. Oh, it was Super Tuesday. That's it. I looked at the headlines, skimmed them, and I'm good. I'm not sure if I even found out about interest rates because I didn't even notice. What did I notice? I flew by the headlines today and nothing was very memorable. It really wasn't. So a do-over for me is I could really pay a lot more attention. So I'm not sure what the heck happened on Tuesday. I woke up, I went to work. I was very fortunate my dad came down to visit, and he had some big news. He wants to relocate some of the year in Florida, so that's a big help to me. I have had a very, very small family, and so to have him and my stepmother be close to me and my children is probably the super big news that I did receive on Tuesday, because they went house hunting, and I have been living in Florida for quite some time. And my children now, they only have one granddad and my stepmother, their grandmother, they have lost 3 grandparents in very, young age. So it's been quite hard. So Super Tuesday for me, when I got home last night, I was all about where did you go, what did you see, and you can see all these houses online now that I haven't shopped for a house. I've been in the same home for 15 years. And it was really exciting. So everything else in the world that was going on news-wise just went way above me. And I just catch up. I've got the daily skim. That's what I get in my inbox every day. And I'll get the headlines. But to me, some of the family stuff, that's more closer to my heart. So that was my Super Tuesday, is that I think there'll be some good news when it comes to a relocation down to Florida. Madam Table Topic Master.
Well, you all were good eggs saying table topics tonight. Madam Timer, can you rattle off those 12 times for us? So that we
Yes,
can
Madam
decide-
Table Topics Master, I have quite a lot to say tonight.
And we will be voting for at least 2
With all those table topics. First of all, everyone in each of their different table topics qualify.
Fantastic, very good.
So would you like for me to give specific times or just leave it at that?
For the benefit of our recap, yes, to remind us who spoke on what so we can vote.
Oh, to remind us who spoke on what. We may have to reread all of your different topics.
Oh, okay.
Because I was timing.
I didn't have the timing sheet right, so she just was writing the times in the.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That's what I had to look at.
Okay, well then we'll go from there, and if everybody could vote for their favorite topics, and for the sake of Jeanine, this is Mark up here. We have Susan. We have on the back table Richard, Sarah, of course yourself, and Jaye.
How are we voting?
The top 2.
Top 2.
Sure, the top 2, since we had 12, and everybody had a chance. As you're voting, our vote counter will come around and collect those ballots and tally them, give them to our president at the end, but until then, let's welcome back to our lectern and our Toastmaster for the evening, Miss Susan Morgan. Thank you.
Very much. That was so much fun. Thank you, Gail. You always make table topics a lot of fun. I always enjoy it whenever Gail comes up to do the table topics. I have a few other things that I can come up with, but it looks like we're doing really well on time, so I'm just going to go ahead and go on to our next portion of our meeting, which is our evaluation portion. Our general evaluator this evening loves springtime. The transition to spring was more noticeable when he lived up in Michigan, though. Besides summer and fall, spring is one of his favorite seasons. His least favorite season is winter, followed closely by construction season. Please welcome our general evaluator for this evening, Mark Lockery.
Thank you, Susan. Now, Jeanine, what we're going to do now is enter into the evaluation portion of the meeting, and that is where our evaluator will evaluate the speech of Sarah and give constructive suggestions on areas of impossible improvement. Our sole evaluator tonight began his musical career with piano lessons as a young child. 6 years later, he was kicked out for not practicing. This Toastmaster returned to music as an aspiring composer in high school, an activity that eventually led to his joining choir, where he discovered a talent for singing. In college, he continued his choir singing and also joined Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, the national music fraternity. In his darkest times, music brings light and hope. In his brightest moments, Performing sparks powerful spirituality. Always, music moves emotion. It can be said that his love of music brought him his love, for, in her own words, it was his performance of his own composition that made her fall in love. Please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold and tenor extraordinaire, Stephen Morgan.
Please allow me to savor this moment. For though you may not have realized, my grandmother was British, and my aunt and her children are still in Britain. And I've also been trained and do train in neurolinguistic programming, and here we are with the Sell a Product project, where I get to see all the language patterns to be used to convince, to persuade. From our most British member, giving her most British speech yet, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest, but particularly Sarah. Here you were not just showing us the accent everyone loves hearing, but you were also demonstrating and telling us about the British culture and tea. What better way to show that British side even more? And we were enjoying that certainly very much. Certain things I was wondering about for yourself, how well you were enjoying it, because one of the things I was noticing was you had a lot more happy feet today than you normally do. A lot more of shifting, shuffling, or rocking. And I wasn't sure if that was a comfort thing or some other aspect that wanted to move you around there. This being the Sell a Product, I was also listening for the language and the words, and some things were quite entertaining to listen to, such as, I'm still trying to figure out, by the way, what are twiddly cakes? And the down some sugar, bang! Yeah, that's my style, I'm afraid, more so. And as we well know, our general evaluator, it's not tea or coffee, it's Dr. Pepper. There was an opportunity, though, to do a bit more. For example, when you were talking about tea being a bit cheaper and particularly lighter on the pocketbook. Because as described in the project, there are certain words that really capture attention, and one of those is money. And you were like avoiding saying the word. It's like, oh, that was the one you should have had the opportunity right there. You did a great job scampering back and forth with your demo, and the only thing I could have said, if you could have, I guess you need an extension cord to pull it out of here, that would have been a little bit more helpful, but the time made it no problem. Certainly kept our attention doing so. But in particular, this being the Sell a Product project, what that means is that somewhere in here, you're supposed to persuade us to part with our money to obtain what you are offering. And that never concluded that way. What you were presenting to me came across as an informational, educational, perhaps an advertisement, a great infomercial, but not a sale. As a suggestion for you, that may be the thing to take a look there. On the other hand, you are a veritable encyclopedia with the origin story, all the types of teas, the contents, the benefits, and rattling off everything about the culture for yourself right out of your head. You had that right there and no problems whatsoever. In fact, I suggest you check into NPR because I would love listening to that, and I would definitely savor a few moments there with pinkies out. Mr. General Evaluator.
As I scamper back to the lectern. Timer, can you please turn off the lights and give us the timing report for our sole evaluator this evening?
The timing report for our sole evaluator, Stephen Morgan, he came close to having to really scamper at 3 minutes and 25 seconds.
Ooh, all right, just under the wire.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jay. I'd also like to get an hour counter report from our hour counter this evening. We have
We
it?
don't have one.
Nobody will do it. I do, however, have the grammarian report that I would be happy to share with you.
Okay.
You'd be happy to know that everybody used the word of the day today.
All right.
Terrific.
No money.
Wow.
No money.
Sorry, Jay.
You guys don't love me today.
I did hear some interesting words. Sarah, gobble. I like that word. Made me think of Thanksgiving for some reason. Ridiculous amount. The green light hasn't popped on yet. And you mentioned tea rooms. Is that like a martini room or where you go to drink
You want it to
tea?
be.
A wine room.
Also, twiddly cakes. I couldn't let that one go by without referencing. I didn't really know biscuits were cookies, by the way. I like both of those, actually. And pinkies up. Very, very good and informative speech. We learned a lot about catching people this evening. Thank you very much. Gail, from you, I heard a lot of words. Gravitate, hobble, scamper, regurgitate, and I will pretend I laid these eggs. Thank you for the visual there. Richard, I have two things from you. First is a hyphenated word, however, whatever. Not sure exactly what that means, but. And then core of the earth. So we actually own everything down to the core of the earth, including the sinkholes and everything?
That's why you don't want them drilling. They're gonna drill through your land.
Okay. Mineral rights. Jeanine, you mentioned your evening clothes as after 5 clothes. I like that. I had never heard that. Never heard that before. That was nice. And Stephen, I could have sworn I heard you say encyclopedia. Okay. Not sure what that means, but I think you were playing on encyclopedia. I think I'll use encyclopedia. And by the way, Sarah moving around so much, I think it was because she had her high tea. She was high from her tea. So it's not just a myth, it does exist. And also, when I go to the Oriental store, their tea aisle is like the entire length of the store. That's all made from just those 4 types of tea?
Herbal teas may not.
Oh, okay. Because they have a lot of shelves called slimming tea.
Slimming, that's new.
Yes. And if you've
Not
never had
everything's real
slimming
tea.
tea,
It's not all real tea.
it's quite a cleansing experience, I'm just saying. As far as the meeting goes in general, we started on time. And once again, kudos to our Toastmaster. It's really hard when you have limited resources to fill all the functionary positions, which are mandatory that we fill in order to have a successful meeting. So good job to you. And I would like to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Even though we had a light crowd, as Jay said, we had a great time. We always have a great time when we get together. Do we have the agenda for next week?
We do have the agenda for next week. I have Jonathan Dunn is going to be our Toastmaster, and his theme is the 7 levels of intimacy. So he will be talking about that. That should be fun. I put in Gloria Esteban and Charlie Bombalier as speakers, and Richard wrote in that he's going to be a speaker.
Icebreaker.
Icebreaker speech.
Right.
So we'll have an icebreaker speech. Table topics will be Sarah. Stephen will be general evaluator. Mark will be an evaluator. And we will see if we can fill in a few more people from online and go from there. The 16th of March, we'll still need a Toastmaster and some speakers. So be thinking about the following week. Otherwise, I'll be sticking you guys in. So that's
Susan,
fine.
where are you?
Evaluator, and if I see I can't make it, I'll let you know.
Which one?
Okay.
The evaluator?
And if I see I can't make it, I'll let you know.
I think we still
For
need to
next
vote for
week or
most
the week
improved too, so.
And put me in where you need me, Susan, except as a preparer, because I will be coming back in out of town on Tuesday.
Grammarian?
Sure.
Okie dokie.
You said Jonathan was Toastmaster?
Jonathan is Toastmaster.
7 levels of intimacy.
7 levels of intimacy.
Sounds interesting.
Most improved.
The vote counter will come around and get your ballots for most approved. Yes, Jeanine?
Yeah, just if I could make some comments.
Yes, please, stand up and tell us what you thought of the meeting.
This is very fun, very enjoyable, and just my first foray into speaking at Toastmasters. I'm really going to enjoy this, and Sarah, I really enjoyed your speech. Where are you from in the UK, by the way?
Kettering.
Oh,
It's in
we're-
between Oxford and Cambridge. It's a
Oh,
tiny
okay.
little town.
Yeah, because I've spent some time in the UK. When I was in college, it was back in 1982, and I could identify with a lot of what she was talking about culturally, and I thought her speech was very interesting too, and just, really enjoyed that. And I admit I'm a bit of an Anglophile. I watch like a lot of the BBC dramas. One of these days I'm going to get back over there too. I loved it so much. I was based out of Oxford. I got to go to London, to Coventry, visited. I spent some time in Warwickshire. I went to Blenheim Palace, and just, really enjoyable. I really liked it. Just, a lot of the cultural experience, but it was really fun.
Well, you have good icebreaker material right there.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's really going to be enjoyable, and the more I get involved in it and eventually become a member, I think, as I mentioned before, I think it's really going to benefit me in the long run.
Sure, this is a great atmosphere for you.
Exactly, and just a room to grow, and just really spread my wings, and
Yep, you've come to the right place.
so much pleasure. I really enjoyed it, and even though when I was here last week, when Tim invited me, just watching observing the speeches, and I think this is something I'm really going to get a lot out of, so, thanks for having me, and
We'll see you next week.
I'll be here next week, indeed.
Good.
I sure
A
will.
lot of wing spreading going on here, a lot of egg laying. Oh, and I just want to mention, Sarah, it was really great the way you came up here and got us all really interested in tea and twiddly cakes. And then we all got to sit here and watch you drink the only tea that you made. Just wanted to point that out. But thanks for not sharing.
Bring tiddly cakes next time.
Yeah, twiddly, I will.
Yeah. Some homemade tiddly cakes.
Twiddly.
I believe they may still need functionary help at the area contest on March 20th. So
probably do.
if you are able to help, then you can contact Thomas. I think he's in charge of that. Yes, Gail?
You can contact me right now.
Uh-oh.
I have all the gaps that we need to fill in. So Thomas asked that I have you look at your calendars. Sunday, March 20th, we have back-to-back contests, Area 41 and 42. We're looking for an overall set of functionaries that can work both contests, but if that is not possible in your time schedule, we can certainly break it up. The times that Area 41 contest will take place from 3 to 5, back from 42 from 5 to 7. If anybody is here and is available, let me know. If you can judge, we need 10 judges. And we're looking, Thomas has asked that we try to get a judge from each club in both Area 41 and 42. We really need your help. The gaps are not closing up very quickly. We do, however, have the overall chairman. We do have an overall chief judge. We do have a smattering of a judge here, a functionary there. And we're looking for 2 contest masters, one for Area 41, one for 42.
Is Edwin chairing that? Oh,
He's the overall chair.
yeah, I thought
Every
he said he was
contest.
contest master, but okay, when you said that you were still looking for contest masters. Okay, so check
Let me
your
know.
your calendars and let Gail know, let the KB know, and see if we can get these functionary gaps filled. Do we have the certificates, Richard?
What do we do for when there's only one? Does it still go for best evaluator, best speaker?
I
Yeah,
believe
they
so.
still, yeah, they still went.
It's just uncontested.
Just making sure. Coming right up.
Egg bombs.
Fierce.
Egg bombs. Egg bombs.
Fierce competition this evening. We will start with our Best Speaker Award. It really comes as no surprise, Miss IT, Sarah Hunt. Our Best Evaluator tonight, I'm sure he will savor this moment, Stephen Morgan. Our Best Table Topics Award tonight goes to me. Our Most Improved Award tonight goes to Mr. Richard Sapp.
Gosh, that's so surprising.
You really love me. You really love me. And our Tim Chastain Award tonight for the decorative eggs and the great time at Table Topics, Gail Hill-Smith. Tim Chastain.
I'll collect those eggs after 2.
Do we have any other announcements or anything from the floor? Nothing left? Okay, at this time, meeting adjourned.